Hey, friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
It's been a long time since we've been here on Friendo Club. I was about to sing the Enterprise theme song. Anyways,
Oh, I thought you
we're
were.
here.
I thought it was Led Zeppelin.
It's been a long time getting from
I
here
think
to
it say it's
here.
been a long, lonely, 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 lonely
No, wait,
time. We're
man.
gonna rock and
Anyways,
roll some grades here, though. Eh.
yeah, Larson came up with this great idea. Like I think we did this a little bit like in the early days of Friendo Club Wrestling. We would grade things. We're very judgy here. You know, we like to
Well, I try
react
not
to
to be.
Dave Meltzer star
Well,
ratings.
that's a different
We're
scenario.
Today we're grading some WWE title reigns. Is that what we're doing today?
Yeah, with all the current champions at WWE, we're going to grade their reigns.
Ooh, I love to see it. Love to see it.
Well, it gets discussion going. Engagement. That's the name of the game. Engagement. We
Yeah,
want our,
yeah.
our
So we
audience,
want
the
your
friendos
guys'
out there, to
grades.
engage with the content. And what better way to engage than to put like a fairly arbitrary grade on something
Arbitrary,
and get people
definitive,
talking.
definitive, not arbitrary.
All right, let's start with the
Anyways,
top then. Let's start with the
ooh,
undisputed champion. Let's start at the
oh
top.
wow.
Or we can bounce around.
Starting big.
Where do you want to start?
It was
How
your
about this?
idea.
How about this?
Your
Let's start with
idea.
Seth. Let's start with Seth Rollins, the consolation champion. We'll save Roman to the end.
Ouch.
Of course, Seth Rollins, current world heavyweight champion. He's had that belt since what? May? Wasn't it May?
Yeah, was
Early
it at a
summer,
Saudi
something
Arabia
like that.
show?
My memory is garbage.
I think it was at a Saudi Arabia show.
So, Steve, what do you give Seth Rollins? What letter grade do you give Seth Rollins' current championship reign?
Consolation prize gets a consolation grade, Larson. I gave him a B plus. I think his reign has been really good, especially recently. They've been building up some really good contenders for him. I like this story of his back being trash and Shinsuke Nakamura taking advantage of that. I thought that his last match with Shinsuke wasn't really my cup of tea, but I understand where they're going with this, and they've actually created some intrigue as to, is Drew McIntyre going to win this thing? Is Damian Priest going to cash in on him? And so there is, especially over the past couple months, been a lot of intrigue surrounding the title. It's not a Roman Reigns level reign, but then few things are.
I mean, because why?
And-
Because why? Why does
Because
Roman
the
Reigns
thing
get
is-
the reign, and why does Seth not?
Right, because the thing is, Roman Reigns has the tribal chief setup, and that includes a really high grade. Seth doesn't get that. He gets a good grade, but it's not the tribal chief grade. It's
Because
not
the
for him.
tribal chief setup is for who?
It's for not Seth Rollins.
That's right.
It's only for Roman Reigns.
It's only for Roman
And
Reigns.
so-
I'm with you. I gave Seth the B plus.
Oh, wow.
I think his title reign has been good.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes very good, but I don't feel like it's ever gone beyond very good. There's some
Sure.
intriguing stuff. The level of intrigue isn't where, and it's a high bar to reach. It's the intrigue isn't anywhere near where it's ever been for Roman's title reign. You know, it's as far as Drew being the one to beat Seth, at least at Crown Jewel. It's a fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, won't be fooled again situation.
Sure, absolutely.
You know, if you think about Drew and Roman at Clash at the Castle, because they did angle Drew to at least be Roman's most serious competitor in quite some time.
Absolutely.
Given the show was in the United Kingdom, he thought, oh, it's a possibility Drew can win. No. So they have yet to really do anything with the World Heavyweight Championship for me to feel like it isn't the consolation championship. If they did that, if that championship, whether Seth is champion or not, main evented a pay-per-view that Roman was on, then I might start thinking a little differently. Until that happens, consolation title.
All right. Let's move on to the next one. Why don't we go with the Women's World Heavyweight Championship since we're still on Raw here? What grade did you give Rhea Ripley's current reign as women's first reign, for the very first reign of the Women's World Heavyweight Championship?
So it's interesting that if on paper you look at Rhea's title feuds, it's a tad bit underwhelming. The feud with Natalya had a good match, otherwise she destroyed Natalya. Her and Zelina had a fun match at Backlash, but it was the outcome wasn't a doubt. Right now, Rhea facing 4 other challengers for a title at Crown Jewel is about 6 months and change after WrestleMania, her stiffest competition so far into her current title reign. But you got to take into account how she's booked on Raw as the featured attraction, pretty much. She is being
Main
angled
character,
as top star, top character on Raw, especially of late. And I just think it's a different approach they're taking with her and her title reign as opposed to challenger, feud for 3 months, new challenger, 2-month feud. She's involved in so many things on Raw and at times on SmackDown. She's out making deals for Judgment Day, negotiating deals with Bloodline, trying to recruit Drew and Seth and Jey Uso. Like, she is, even if other members of Judgment Day don't realize this, she's the leader of the Judgment Day.
I got bad news for you guys. She's the leader of Judgment Day.
And so I feel like how she's booked as a character is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is.
She prizes that championship. She realizes how Judgment Day is viewed by the rest of the roster and how that impacts her reign and could potentially put her reign in jeopardy. So it behooves her to keep Judgment Day strong. I gave her an A. She's one of the most fascinating characters on Raw. And her championship, the fact that she is champion, is so tied to her position on Raw. You take that away from her. In a lot of ways, they're angling her to be the Roman Reigns of the women's division. There's a lot of parallels there. So I gave her an A. I think Rhea's great.
I'm close to you. I gave her an A-, mainly because I think it's more of a detriment, I think, than your grade reflects, that the actual challenges haven't really been challenges. But if you want to establish a dominant champion and a main character on your flagship show, they've done that with Rhea Ripley, and I think it's been absolutely phenomenal. So I gave her an A-. I still think that's a really good grade.
It is. I was on A- for a little bit, and then after Raw last night, I was like, Rhea's awesome. Awesome.
Oh, yeah, she's absolutely great.
Let's talk the women's tag titles. Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, the current champion. Steve, what do you give Chelsea and Piper for their grade on their current reign?
So it's sort of like the women's tag titles at this point really just are based. My grade is based solely on the power of Chelsea Green. She is phenomenal. She is awesome. Problem is the women's tag titles should mean a lot more. Like it's sort of it was their mid-card title for the women's division, but then Becky Lynch's NXT title came along. I gave a B- grade to this because Chelsea's really good. And the thing about Chelsea Green is that through social media and then being able to get on television to make the most of stuff, she's made the most of stuff, whether it was getting on social media and doing her talent search, but then only for Piper Niven to come and say, this is mine. And every time she's on screen, she lights up the screen. The division itself is really a whole lot of nothing, so there's not much that they can do with it, but yet they still manage to do stuff with it every single week. It's just not the most compelling thing in the world. So I gave it a B- solely because Chelsea Green is so good, and she's overperforming for the tag titles. And because if it wasn't her in this role, it'd probably be like a C or a C-.
Yeah. No, I'm in complete agreement. Gave it a B- as well. Everything you said is 1,000% correct. I don't really have much else to add. We can move on.
There you go.
Chelsea is great. Piper's great too. I think their dynamic is really fun.
It is. I agree. They did. That was a smart move putting Piper with Chelsea.
It really was.
Yeah.
I just wish that the tag division, and I know the tag division is the champions or whatever kind of put together team of the week is going out against them, was more well established and was given more time. Chelsea's given time, and she always hits a home run. But the vision as a whole, like build up actual women's tag teams.
Yeah, no, I agree. They should do that.
Let's talk men's tag champions. Let's talk Judgment Day. They're on their second reign in a pretty short amount of time as tag champions. I will say this. Going all the way back to when the Usos unified the tag titles against RK Bro. Vince McMahon historically has not been a fan of tag team wrestling.
Right.
But given the Usos' long title reign, their importance to the bloodline story, and for the most part, what they've continued to do with the tag titles since Sami and Kevin won them in the main event of night one of WrestleMania, kind of the tag titles are held, I feel like, in higher esteem than they have in years.
Absolutely.
The fact that Judgment Day are the cornerstones of Raw right now, that is their show. They open it, they close it most weeks. Finn Balor's been doing great work. The chemistry between him and Damian Priest is great. You got that briefcase which is an albatross for the whole faction, and it adds such interesting tension to the group. I kind of consider their first reign and this current reign just kind of one thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
because they didn't have the titles for 10 days or something like that.
Otherwise, there's no grade here.
Exactly. Otherwise, it'd be incomplete. So I gave him a B plus. I think Judgment Day is great. And they've kept momentum going that WWE established with the tag titles going back to WrestleMania, like the soonest. So I gave a B plus. I think they're awesome.
They have turned into a vital part of the programming, whereas before they were not that. They were a joke. I same grade, a B plus. And I just want to emphasize, whether it's Jay and Cody winning them or, Judgment Day desperate to get them back, those titles are the thing. They are important now. And Judgment Day makes them feel important. They are desperate to hold them.
Yeah.
And I think that's a tremendous thing. So yeah, I'd give it a B plus. And I love the idea that I'm not going to call it hot potatoing, because I think it's in service of a story.
Exactly.
The title's changing hands and then changing hands again in less than 10 days. I'm cool with that, because I think it adds to, you need a little bit of chaos on your show. The idea that, oh shit, like these just changed hands. That was kind of crazy.
Yep.
But it doesn't feel superfluous. It doesn't feel like, oh, they're just doing it to pop a rating or something.
Exactly.
So yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Let's talk the ring general, Gunther. Record-setting Intercontinental Championship reign. I think we're going to be in agreement on this one. It's an A plus.
So here's the thing.
Ooh.
Only one person gets an A plus.
Well, that's
Larson.
by your estimation.
Gunther, the ring general, gets a solid A. He's the only A on my list because I give Rhea Ripley an A minus. He gets a solid A. Record-breaking, best matches on any card that he's on. Hasn't really been defended much on pay-per-views, though.
Because they understand he's an attraction for Raw and will get a good number, I guess.
Well, we got to boost those Peacock numbers. No, I mean, it's A. There's only one grade better. There's only one better champion. So I gave him an A. Little needs to be said about Gunther. He is phenomenal. Fantastic. He is great. He is the ring general. Love him. Give him. I would give him an A plus, but there's one guy out there who's had a better reign as champion. So
there might be a way around that. Let's talk the other mid-card champ, Rey Mysterio, the current U.S. champion. Steve, what'd you give Rey Mysterio's reign?
I mean, honestly, if it was still in Austin Theory, I'd give it a D. The fact that it got to Rey Mysterio, I'd give it a C minus. Like they're not doing anything with this thing. Like it went on to Rey Mysterio. Not even a really good reason as to why they did that. Short, one match with Santos Escobar was something interesting might have happened there. Logan Paul wants it because seemingly none of the other WWE superstars cares about it. So like, yeah, no, like a C minus. Nobody cares about this title, and I'm hoping that they make people care about it. It looks good on Ray.
Yeah,
it looks good on him, but like nobody seems to care. Nobody's like, you don't hear LA Knight being like, I want the U.S. title. Of course, he's going after the Universal title right now, but like, you know what I mean? Like nobody really seems to care about this thing, and that should be one of the main goals of any title is make it count, make it matter, make it mean something.
Especially on SmackDown, where the U.S. champ is day-to-day top champ on that show with Roman not being there.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Theory still had it, it'd be like a D or a D minus. I gave Ray's reign thus far a C. It's pretty average. Nothing really extraordinary about it yet. Nothing really terrible. It's just been kind of middle of the road.
Good matches, I guess.
Yeah, the match with Santos was solid. The match with Logan coming up at Crown Jewel will probably be really good.
Probably really good. I think at that point, like if Logan wins it, by the time Mania comes around or even the Rumble comes around, maybe my grade would be, improved, because if he goes around and he makes this thing mean something, if he has people gunning for him, okay, then we're in new territory, but nobody seems to be gunning for him.
I know. You're going to have to wait till LA Knight wins it before that happens at WrestleMania. Let's talk Io Sky. Her championship reign. Steve, what'd you give Io's title reign?
Where is that one? Oh, I gave it a solid B. I really like the dynamic. Number one, she puts on phenomenal matches.
Yes.
There is always that thing of like, there are other people in her division who have accomplished a lot more in terms of like, like Charlotte's there, Bianca's now back, Bailey's like her running mate. Mm-hmm. And so there is kind of that feeling that she could lose this thing. Like, I never really think, oh man, they're gonna give her like a 3-month reign and that's gonna be it.
Yeah.
But I do like the frenetic energy behind Damage Control matches. Like, it's a group effort, and it's always, and to me, it's always kind of fun. Put on a banger of a match with Charlotte on Friday, hit Charlotte in the head with the title. I love the dynamic of Damage Control. I really do, because she's not the voice of Damage Control. That's Bailey. She's not the veteran. That's Bailey. And yet she's the featured one in Damage Control because she's the title. She's the champion. That being said, I didn't give it a bigger grade, largely because when I stack it up against like Rhea Ripley's reign, for example, it's not elevating the title either. You know, it's elevating EO, but it's not really elevating the title necessarily. So, and I still get the feeling that it needs to be like, there needs to be something more definitive about her run that solidifies her as champion, as opposed to she's running with Damage Control. That might sound counter to each other. What I just said.
She needs to have a definitive win over someone that makes her, that establishes her as champion, not champion in Damage Control.
Yeah, right.
You know, because it feels, even the Charlotte match, it was because Bailey helped her. You know.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a situation where on a pay-per-view she has a one-on-one match with Charlotte, Damage Control barred from ringside, and she gets a definitive win, that's a different scenario.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, right.
So many of her major wins have that kind of asterisk because she was assisted by Damage Control.
And look, Roman, you could say the same thing about Roman, but also Roman's got that thing where he can kick out of anything, and he's beaten plenty of people clean as well.
Absolutely. And I'm waiting to see. I'm interested to see how the EO story develops, because she's only had that title for a couple, like 2.5 months. She won it at SummerSlam.
Yeah, and it hasn't been very long. Yeah.
So it's still relatively early in her reign, and who knows if she's going to have the belt for a prolonged amount of time. You know, she could drop it, by the end of the year, to have someone like Charlotte win it in the lead up to WrestleMania. We don't know.
I feel like if the title is sort of used for her to break, and I would hate for this to happen. I love Damage Control.
Yeah.
If she were to break out of Damage Control as part of her story as champion, that elevates her to the Bailey level, to the Charlotte level, to the Bianca level, then we're looking at a different grade.
Absolutely, because that's an intriguing story. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, exactly. All right, it's time for the undisputed champ, Roman Reigns. I know your grade is an A+.
I mean, unless there is a higher grade than an A+. I've heard some scenarios that like an A++ is a thing, a 5.0 as opposed to a 4.0.
Like an AP classes, yep.
Then he is the valedictorian of WWE, and there ain't no salutatorian. It's him. It's the tribal chief. It's Roman Reigns. It's an A++, whatever you want to call it, whatever the highest grade and extra credit is. That's the tribal chief. 1,178 plus days as champion, whatever it is.
Somewhere around there.
Something like that. Dude, the most intriguing stories, some of the most compelling matches, the guy who draws ratings, character work unmatched, his supporting cast unmatched. He's the guy. He's the man. He's everything that I've ever wanted out of Roman Reigns, man. He's awesome.
Yeah. After 5 years or so of struggling to find a legit Roman Reigns main event story, they found it with the head of the table, with the tribal chief. Man. Yeah. I gave it A++. He breaks the chart.
Yeah.
You know,
dude,
he took all AP classes.
It's like, what is this grade, teacher? I don't even know this existed. Well, that's because you're so good.
He's off the curve.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
I could throw out a bunch more superlatives, more than you did, but the end result's the same. He's got the best title reign in WWE right now. Title reign is going to go down as one of the greatest in the company's history. Full stop.
Absolutely, yeah.
If not the greatest.
And it sort of puts to rest for me anyways, what matters more, the reign or the number? It's the reign.
It's the reign. What matters most is the stories involved in the reign, I feel like. That's what makes reigns memorable.
And the reign, the reign.
You know, so stories, because Bloodline stories still could be one of the greatest ever. Anyways.
You said earlier you could throw out more superlatives. The only thing we need to throw is our ones up, Larson. No, yeah, I do the Sabu one. You do the Macho Man.
That's what I'm
one.
doing. I pointed to.
Let's both end this with the CM Punk one. Good. All right. Thanks everybody who was in around.
Bye.